Good morning, Monday, November 27th. It is 7 a.m. and it's the Real Monica Adams Show, brought to you by our friends at Invita Health and Wellness, taking care of your body both on the inside and out. You'll hear from them in just a few seconds. Look, we've got a brand new look. Ooh, it's so warm and cozy in here. Everything transformed from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and we are ready to celebrate the season with you. In fact, today's going to be a big shopping day, Cyber Monday. In fact, the analysts are saying that if it's indicative of what we saw on Friday, it's going to be record breaking, because on Friday, Black Friday was record breaking. Small Business Saturday, I'm hoping, was incredible as well. Did you go out and did you do at least some shopping already? For all of you that are crazy organized, I bet you already shop, you already wrap the presents, you have the tree up, and they're all nicely tucked under the tree. I used to be like that until I went out on my own and launched this brand, which, by the way, congratulations to all of you with the entrepreneurial spirit. Today is National Brand Day. It's a day for you to celebrate your own brand, and we're celebrating ours, the Real Monica Adams, everything that we are able to do for you, and it all has to do with positivity. I hope you had a beautiful weekend, a longer one. The kids are back in school today. You're heading back to work maybe after an extended one over the Thanksgiving holiday. Are you still stuffed? You still have leftovers? I ate leftovers last night. I felt just like I did on Thanksgiving. I was like, all right, enough, no more. But I do hope it was a beautiful one for you. Weather-wise, clear skies, sunshine today, but it's going to be a chilly one. Right now, clear and 29, but it feels like it's about 25 degrees because of that wind chill that's out there. We are going to warm up, but it's not going to feel like it, to about 40 to 41 today with some sun, but it's going to feel more like in the mid-30s because of that wind chill that's out there. It's going to drop into the 20s tonight. Now, tomorrow, pretty much the same, mostly sunny, a high of about 40, but if you have not put up those decorations yet, I'd highly recommend that you save it until Wednesday if you don't want to be out there and be cold. Sunshine and 56 for a high on Wednesday. That sounds beautiful to me. We had a chance to decorate the set, and I want to thank our wonderful friend Sarah Ward over at Wildflower, which is in the Lafayette Square area on Lafayette. Look at this beautiful arrangement that she made for us. In fact, she told me those beautiful white flowers, those were left over from a wedding that she did in Rolla, Missouri over the weekend. She said that they were packed. It was a huge, huge wedding, and she made the decoration for us and thought, hey, I'm going to put a little pop of white in there. So thank you so much. We'll be talking about Wildflower and all the amazing things the Wildflowers are able to do for you. I want you to think of them because, again, I'm all about supporting those that support us. So when you need flowers for the holiday, for birthdays, to say I'm sorry or thank you, congratulations, a baby, bridal, etc., think about our friend Sarah at Wildflowers, again on Lafayette. We'll show you more of these gorgeous arrangements. Again, over the weekend, maybe you sat and had your leftovers and you sat and watched the Mizzou game. How about that? Mizzou. Huge win over Arkansas. They are doing incredible. And then yesterday, Kansas City pulling out the win. The Chiefs over the Raiders. I've heard a lot of people were actually in Las Vegas for the holiday, and the stadium was packed with Chiefs fans. They said it almost looked like a home game, or our Missouri. You know, we claim them ever since we lost the Rams, right? Big Kansas City fans, big Mizzou fans. So it was a wonderful weekend, football across the board. It's 7:04, and so we've given you the news you can use. One more thing, though. Ruby Lee on The Voice tonight. I want you to watch. Now, she actually just posted, I just shared this. She said that they're ready to bring back traditional country music. Who's on board? She has a link to the article that will explain the voting process. So they make it to the lives. She said, if they make it to the lives, are you going to vote? So she is on The Voice tonight. Of course, she was just recently on our show. If you didn't see it, go back and check that out. We're live always Monday through Friday on Facebook and on YouTube, streaming for you. And then if you don't see it live, those shows are available to you. You definitely have to watch that one because she performed for us so many incredible songs. If they make it to the lives, she says, then you can vote 10 times. And she said, make them count. So she's got an article explaining the entire voting process. Go Ruby. We're rooting for you. Our own hometown girl from Foley, Missouri. 7:05, today's show. We're going to talk about saving lives after a life was lost. Liam Michael Foundation. We're going to talk about Liam. Unfortunately, took his life back in 2015, but today he's still helping pay it forward with regards to what can we do to eradicate the mental health problems that we have, the OCD problems, the PTSD problems, all of that. If any of you are struggling, I want you to listen to the show. If you know someone that is in a deep set of depression, hopefully Lisa Picker, Liam's mom, can help you do just that. And we'll talk about the foundation and how it is paying it forward. It's also Monday, so it's Ask the Doctor Monday. On this Medical Monday, we're going to talk with Dr. Charles Willey, and he's with Innovare Health Advocates. Dr. Willey talking about the signs we need to watch for as our parents or our grandparents start aging. And they may not be the ones recognizing it, but we have to be more aware, more focused, more present. We do that, and we'll be able to help guide them along the way. So we're going to start with Lisa Picker. She will be in the blue chair when we return. Invita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Invita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Invita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Invita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online invitahealthandwellness.com. Welcome back. It is 7:07. Once again, it's the Real Monica Adams Show, and thank you so much. Everyone said, love the set, seeing the Christmas spirit. Beautiful flowers, yes, from Wildflowers. Good morning to all of you that are saying good morning. And any questions or comments that you want to say along the show, I always look down for you, and we'll spread those along. As I mentioned, Lisa Picker, my guest in this first half hour with the Liam Michael Foundation. We're going to talk about Liam, his life, and how today, after 8 years, he is actually being able to save lives, even though he took his own. Let's bring Lisa on. First of all, thank you for coming in.
Oh, no, Monica, thank you so much for having us.
I greatly appreciate it. So it was 2015 when you lost your son, right?
It was, but prior to that, Liam had struggled for about 7 years prior to his completing his suicide. So it was, for some people and some families, they walk into it, they're blindsided by it, they find their loved one, their child, their father, mother, sister, they find them and they are blindsided by a suicide. For us, Liam's struggles began when he was about in fourth grade.
Fourth grade. What were the signs back then? Because I know I was reading up about Liam, and I know you said he suffered from OCD and mental health, but you saw the mental health issues in fourth grade?
We saw it began with social anxiety, which I worked in pediatrics for 22 years, and we were very familiar with kids and what we call school-itis, which is anxiety. Young people, young children, younger and younger, experience anxiety just like adults do. And so in the beginning, we just kind of chalked it up to social anxiety, and we kind of pushed him through it. The first year that he started, kind of balking about going to school. And then the symptoms, it became a little bit more debilitating for him. So we did what most parents would do. We took him in and had a physical evaluation to make sure there wasn't something that we were missing, because he was complaining. At that time, it had exacerbated a little bit, and complaining of headaches and stomach aches and everything that kind of goes along with anxiety.
Sure.
So.
Now, as you mentioned, you've worked in pediatrics, but you also got certified because of the mental health side. You got certified focusing on mental health. When did that happen? After he passed?
After he passed away. After he passed away. We did not, this is a heavy subject. And I, along with my husband Michael and my two daughters, Chelsea and Zoe, we did everything, and I had every resource available to me, being in the healthcare system and I've been with Mercy for almost 37 years. So I had all of the resources at my fingertips, and Liam was very, for the most part, compliant. He took his medicine. He went to his counseling appointments. We started counseling very early, trying to get ahead of it and trying to help him. It just we never seemed to get the right medication, the right combination, it just, as he grew older and into puberty and the hormones kicked in and things began getting harder and harder, school became just a real struggle. We ended up taking him out. My husband homeschooled him.
Okay.
And it wasn't just like, oh, I don't want to go see my friends. It was going to the mall was a big deal for Liam. I began noticing, clean socks kind of strewn all over my home. And started outside of Liam's bedroom in the morning, and then I would find a pair of socks down on the landing of the steps and then down in the living room. And I finally realized what
was that?
Yeah, well, he had developed OCD,
Okay.
and so he kind of had a germ and a bug, problem. OCD kind of drives a groove in your brain where your thoughts are just running back and forth along kind of like a train track, and it runs back and forth, and they're ruminating.
What do they
thoughts.
say causes OCD?
A mental stress, a life stress. We do have that in our family.
Okay.
Both my husband and I, our families have some history of challenges with OCD and depression. But it's very hard to break that. But Liam was bright enough to know what he had.
If you're just tuning in, this is Lisa Picker once again. We're talking about her son, Liam Michael, who passed away, took his life just shy of his 19th birthday. And this foundation that we're talking about is to try to save lives. We actually have suicide prevention lines, texting lines, phone numbers that we're going to provide throughout the show. If anybody that you know is struggling, or it's you, please call 988. LiamMichaelFoundation.org is a site that you can go to, find out more about Liam. He was a bright individual and very into music.
He was, much to our surprise. We had purchased, when my daughter Chelsea was young, a beautiful baby grand piano, and Chelsea played it all of 2 weeks, and so it sat there in our home, and we're a musical family, and it sat in our music room, and it was so beautiful, and for some reason I could never part with it. But this was after Liam had been homeschooled and had a little bit of time on his hand, but unbeknownst to us, Liam sat down and taught himself how to play the piano, and we were shocked.
And we're not just talking about tinkling with the ivories. We're talking about composing music. And there's a song that was performed in Carnegie Hall, and also, I just heard you say, was involved in a movie. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so after Liam passed away, Liam developed strangely at a very young age a love for the Japanese culture. His best friend, Michael, was an Asian boy, and I'm not sure why, because we're Irish and Native American in our family, but he did. He was drawn to the Japanese culture, and he taught himself how to read and write and on a limited basis speak the language. So yeah, Liam was bright and gifted, and it really didn't serve him well at his young age. He was very black and white, and we all know the world is very gray. But he did compose one piece that I captured on videotape, and it was a piece called Winter for a Christmas production that his music teacher was putting on. And after he died, I went looking for a nonprofit that did some type of musical connection, and I came across the website Harmony for Peace, and I scrolled to the bottom, and I noticed this picture of this very lovely Japanese woman, Tomoko Tori, and I contacted Tomoko, and I told her about Liam and Liam's gift and so for his funeral, in lieu of flowers, we asked donations for that foundation. Well, Tomoko and I just developed a friendship, and what led to conversation and a very tender heart, she said, why don't I ask the concert pianist Gohei Nishikawa, who closed out the Olympics ceremonies for the Paralympics last year in Japan, to perform it at our Carnegie Hall concert. And I did not have this music on I know, Gohei's handsome, isn't he? I did not have this on paper. Liam composed by, his heart, and, and there's Gohei, that's us in Tokyo. But I had to send it. Liam's music teacher knew somebody at Hal Leonard Music in Minneapolis, I believe. Had to send the video there, have it transposed into paper sheet music so I could send it to New York so that Gohei could learn it.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's an aspect now with the foundation to help with it still has that musical tie. Talk about that.
It does. And people, we say, why the piano keys? Mm-hmm. Well, there were three things after I got settled and through the difficult years of grief when you lose a child. But I'm a very passionate person, and I just was not going to let Liam be forgotten.
No.
And the pain and everything that we had gone through as a family, I had learned an incredible amount, and I wanted to share that, and I wanted to do, we're not here for very long, and it's really, really important that we help the people around us. And Liam was honored in such a way at Carnegie Hall that I wanted to make it a priority to try to help families and mothers and siblings that had gone through the same thing that we did. So we put the Liam Michael Foundation, into existence, and we have butterfly projects, and the butterfly projects, it's a very personal, it's a very sweet story. But one of them, the first one is, of course, to raise funds to provide financial assistance for families that need help with counseling services, doctor appointments. We've helped a family pay for hospital bill for intake. The second butterfly project is something that was really important to me, and that's funeral assistance for families who lose a child 18 and under by suicide, to help in some way financially with the arrangements. Because that's the first thing we had to do was, funerals are not cheap, so we do what we can there. But the third butterfly project is a happy project, and we'll be in 2024 we'll be awarding our first music scholarship, the Liam Award, Life in All Music, to a student in the area that's interested in music. And so that is just really coming to fruition now, because we have a wonderful new board member, Catherine Shipley, mm-hmm. who is a CMA voter. She's a Dove Award winner, a Josie Award winner. She is an amazing human being, and the energy this woman has is only matched by mine.
And Catherine actually is the reason that I met you. She is the one that had reached out and said that she wanted us to have Lisa on. So yes, people are going to tune in. Maybe you're watching live or you're going to see this later, and you'll hear the sorrow and you'll say, oh, we're talking about mental health. Yes, we need to, by the way. And don't you agree, Lisa, because you lost Liam before the pandemic happened. But since the pandemic happened, I truly believe that more and more people are saying, I'm not okay. And then other people are sitting there listening and saying, it's okay. It's okay to say you're not okay. More people are speaking out about it, and that's something that we've always needed.
It is, and what I find really incredible, Monica, we sat down with the St. Charles Mayoral Mental Health Task Force a couple of months ago in St. Charles, and we sat around a board room with probably 12 to 15 students from different high schools and colleges in St. Charles area. Mm-hmm. And what was so refreshing were these kids our youth. They're getting engaged. They want to be engaged. They want to know how to help. They want to know what to do. It's the adults that I find that are still carrying a lot of fear, a lot of stigma, a lot of, if we talk about it, it will happen. Right. And the suicide rates have gone up since COVID. It's astronomical. kids are taking their lives younger and younger. It just has to stop.
Oh, we're hearing about kids in grade school.
Yes, yes.
And then you have adults that are saying, well, what do they have so to be worried about? And I'm like, well, maybe you should talk to them. Maybe you should actually, and I used to say this when I was in radio, people coming home and actually having dinner together, which is when you actually find out what's going on with your kids. Now it's just, okay, kids, here, let's hand you a phone or an Xbox or whatever you're playing these days and go play. And no one knows what's going on with their kids.
We're doing our youth and our future generations a huge disservice by handing them an iPhone and expecting the world will educate your children in ways that you may not approve of.
Right.
And you are the adult and you are the responsible party. And I'm not saying that it was easy. It never was with Liam, because what we say in the mental health world is like, you have to dangle the carrot in front of them if they're having a tough day, which means give them something to look forward to get them to the next day if they're having a bad day. But there is nothing that can replace the time that you sit face to face and you say, tell me one thing good about your day, tell me one thing that's on your heart, tell me what's going on in your head, because the world is hard, and it's a rough place right now to go searching for help. And it has to change in the hospital, in the clinic settings. It has to change with the adults. We have to start talking about it. If our kids are willing to and our kids are educated and they're not afraid of it, then we should not be afraid either.
Absolutely. Once again, we're looking at the Liam Michael Foundation webpage. You can read up more about Liam. You also saw on there, look out for our music trivia in 2024. Do you have a date for that?
We don't have, we will have a date in January, but it will be in September, which is Suicide Awareness Month. We have it every year. Greg Horta, Big Papa G, is our DJ. He has our heart. We love him dearly. Our foundation does an outstanding job with this trivia, and we have an amazing board. We're an all-volunteer board, and most of these people knew Liam. We keep junior board members on the foundation, so we keep our pulse on what's going on with the youth out there in the world. We have managed in just 3 short years to provide, and this is important to note, our largest donation has only been $5,000 from one person, but we have managed to offer over $40,000 in mental health resources to people in our community.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, and you're seeing one of the checks there back from September of 2022.
Right.
Oktoberfest, is that in St. Charles?
It's in St. Charles, and we've been adopted the last 2 years,
awesome.
and that came about as a meeting from a grief conference that we did on suicide loss, and met one of the Faust families who had lost her son. So you never know, but Liam's story is amazing, and it's hopeful because of what we've been able to do since his loss.
And that's what I hope that you're hearing today. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have a little more with Lisa, LiamMichaelFoundation.org. And again, if you or someone you know that is struggling today, if we can save one life, just think about that. Suicide Prevention Hotline, call or text to 988. We'll have more with Lisa when we return. Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show since we launched back in March. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Personal training, life coaching, and styling as well. Info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Welcome back. It is 7:24, and we've been visiting with Lisa Picker, remembering a life taken way too soon. Liam Michael, just shy of his 19th birthday, unfortunately took his life. But what can we do today? Save lives, and that's what Lisa is trying to do. We've been talking about the Butterfly Project, the foundation itself, again, what's coming from the musical standpoint next year. But in these next 5 minutes, Lisa, let's do this. What can you tell parents, grandparents, friends, etc., or those that are suffering themselves and they're hearing this? What can we do? I mean, you look at everything that you did, and I'm sure you've struggled and struggled of, was there something we missed? What could we have done differently? Answer that for us.
Well, talk. You've got to talk to somebody. You need to talk to your children. You need to talk to your friends. You need to reach out to the first thing that we did as a family, or I did as a mother, was I surrounded myself and reached out to people I knew had lost children, so I knew kind of what to expect. But most of all, people just want to know that there's hope, that you're not going to be in this terrible, desperate place of grief forever. You can reach out. There are many mental health facilities, counselors. I would start with counselors, or get a recommendation from somebody. That's a very personal decision. We do not dictate at the foundation who you see. We merely establish a rapport with the counselor or the counseling centers so that we know you're being taken care of. But you've got to talk to your peers, talk to your teachers, talk to your counselors, but parents, you've got to talk to your children, and
Yes.
you've got to talk to each other.
Well, right, because when they're coming home, and I mean, it's not even just the communication, the verbal communication. Watch them. I mean, if you really, really love your children and you want to have a deeper connection with them, watch their body language. Or what are they saying? Are they dropping little hints here or there? We've talked in the show, Lisa, in the past about bullying. When we think about when we were all growing up, the bullying that took place in person, but now it's the cyberbullying that takes place, and it's escalated of what they're dealing with. I mean, I really do feel really sorry for children, and then just think, what is it? And that's why we're doing the show. What is it that we can do to bring a brighter light to them? Because I talk to my godchild who's 13 and try to always be on the cusp of, what are you going through? What should we be talking about on this show?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, like you said, the body language,
Mm-hmm.
but red flags to us when Liam was progressing and struggling.
Mm-hmm.
He was spending more time in his room with the door shut.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the parent and limit the social media. I don't understand why it is so hard for parents to say, it's 7:30, I need your phone, it comes in my room.
Well, they have to actually parent and not want to
Yes,
be a
they
best
do.
friend.
Yes, they do, and that's a danger. So isolation, mood swings, and we all know it's normal in puberty and as teens are growing up that they're going to have mood swings, but isolation is a big red flag. We had a rule in our house that if Liam was in his room, he had to leave the door open. We just said, you can stay in your room, Liam, but you have to leave the door open.
Can you take us back, and maybe this will be the most powerful, to sit there and think, and right now, if your kids are still home, a lot of them went back to school today, but maybe when they come back from school today, give them that extra hug, make them remember this wonderful young boy that was taken too soon, that he didn't believe that the world still needed him, that he believed that the world would be better. We've had people sit in this chair with Mind Muscle Pro and Nicholas talking about how many times he had considered taking his life. Brock was recently in our chair. Brock Wilson talked about trying to take his life 3 times. We're trying to figure out what can we do? What can we get into that mindset to get to switch, to make you know that you are loved and that, yes, this life needs you. In the 24 hours prior to him taking his life, anything that you can remember, because I've heard from some people that they say they stop eating and that they are up and they're not sleeping overnight. Do those things happen?
Liam, the nights were terrible for Liam. It was, they were just, the nights were very hard for Liam. The day Liam decided to take his life, he played tennis for 4 hours. Liam was a tennis player. And he played with a friend's dad for 4 hours prior to that. But we had been trying very hard to get him approved for TMS therapy, and he was underage, and so we were fighting with the insurance. And we were trying to explain to him what this was, and he was afraid. And I tried to explain to him that it was not shock treatment, although that's very beneficial for some people, but in the state of Missouri, he was too young for that. So he was associating, he had a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety, and his world just kept getting smaller and smaller, and I just remember him walking up very calmly the back the steps to his room that night, and I didn't see what he had in his hand. And 2 days prior, we were very close, and Liam had come into my room, and he was crying and upset, and he said, "Mom, when am I going to feel better?" And I honestly, Monica, I was running out of hope and options. And I said, and I prayed, God, please do whatever you need to do to make him better. And I knew what I was praying, but this was a 7-year battle of trying to save your child's life, and a lot of trauma, too much trauma, and too harsh details to share. But I felt Liam leave that night, and for some reason I didn't get up. And I woke up the next morning, and he had a doctor's appointment and a counseling appointment, and we were getting ready to take him, which we often did, and then I would go on to work. And I just had an overwhelming feeling that he was gone. And my husband and I went to his room, and he was gone.
So, this is a really powerful thing that Lisa just said. You asked for God, and you still have, you lean in on your faith. See, there's a lot of people that think, well, if my child was taken, what kind of a God would allow that to happen? But here he is saving lives on a daily basis, 8 years later, with his foundation, in his name, all the things that he's able to do. If you listen to what her prayer was, it was to take all that sorrow away.
Take his pain away,
yeah.
His struggling. I mean, when your child can't, is nervous about going to the mall, the thought of getting a job is overwhelming, and he sees all of his peers and his sisters doing well and thriving. The world was just a little too hard for Liam. And faith, oh yeah. I mean, my son debuted at Carnegie Hall and then went on because Gohei Nishikawa kept sharing his story all over the world, and then went on to be chosen for the soundtrack for the movie Shiori in
That's
Japan.
what I was going to ask you. Okay, so that's and then where can that be seen online?
You can purchase it to view online,
okay.
And we have copies. And
it's that Shiori.
That's Shiori. It means bookmark in Japanese, and it's a true story about someone who takes their life. But we were fortunate enough to have the producer of Shiori come and spend Christmas with us the year after the movie debuted, and my husband and I were able to travel to Tokyo for the debut of the movie. So with such great hope of Liam's life and his love and his music and his talent. I mean, I used to tell him, Liam, if I had your looks and your talent and your brains, I'd have an ego problem. But he could just not see it. He couldn't see it.
And that's it. And that's what a lot of you hear. I know, I mean, in my 30 years in this business, I've heard a lot of stories, done a lot of stories like this, of people who just didn't see their worth. You saw the book that I have everybody write,
Yes.
Knowing Your Value, but they don't see it sometimes. And you can do everything you possibly can, and sometimes we just can't save them. And that's what happened with Liam Michael. But he is now saving lives on a daily basis. Again, we've showed you several times to call or to text 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline. I want you to go to that website, liammichaelfoundation.org. Both Lisa and I are very faith-based, and so for me, it's a no-brainer, but I'll let you pick. So we do these at the end of the show. So after we do our Ask the Doctor segment, we're going to wrap up. We're doing 100 Days to Freedom from. Would you like to do the one from depression today? I think it kind of makes sense. Or we could do fear and anxiety. Depression makes sense?
Makes sense.
So stick around for that, because if you haven't followed along, or if you're brand new to the show, by the way, thank you so much. And please know that every day we bring you hope and positivity and try to bring light to what feels like an endless bout of darkness. 100 Days to Freedom, I came across these books at church, and there are 5 of them we have on set: overeating, fear and anxiety, shame, depression. And we talk about these daily devotionals at the end of our show. They're from Stephen Arterburn. This is how we will wrap up the show today in about a half hour. Thank you, Lisa, so much for sharing the story and for what you're doing and what Liam is continuing to do for us. Thank you for sharing his story.
Oh, thank you for having us. And just know, you can get through the next day. You don't have to be a statistic. God bless your audience.
Powerful. LiamMichaelFoundation.org. Please look that up. Share that with someone that you think is struggling. All right, we have Dr. Charles Willey. It is Monday, so Medical Monday, Ask the Doctor segment. He's going to talk about signs that we need to be watching out for as kids and grandkids for our parents and our grandparents that they're not seeing as they're aging and how we can help them. This is all about help and hope today. Dr. Willey will be in the blue chair when we return.
Carroll House Furniture is growing and hiring for many positions. Drive to success, delivering concierge service and setup in customer homes.
Enjoy teamwork in our clean, organized warehouse where Carroll House stocks for fast, free delivery.
Associates sell more and make more with 3.5 acres of choices in stock, infinite custom orders, plus the lowest prices in the country.
If you like top pay and the best benefits in St. Louis, you'll love working here.
So if you like nice things, join the Carroll House Furniture family.
Well, the warmer weather is exiting and colder weather is upon us. Have you been putting off getting that heater inspected or fixed? Well, that's like pushing your car to fumes. You don't want to be left feeling empty and cold. Let Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist come to your rescue to take you out of the miserable cold inside your home and help warm you, your home, and your hearts. Don't put it off or you'll be stranded inside in the cold. Aldon Indoor Air Quality Specialist. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they've got you covered with 24-hour availability. al-don.com. Welcome back. It is 7:36. What a powerful woman, right? Lisa Picker, thank you so much again for sharing Liam's story. Again, LiamMichaelFoundation.org. And if you're just tuning in, yes, the set looks different. I was a little busy beaver yesterday, transitioning from Thanksgiving and changing it to Christmas. If you are enjoying the fireplace behind me, that is from Christopher's in Kirkwood. Picked that up, actually, on Black Friday. And I do hope that all the businesses were able to have a successful, I heard it was record-breaking Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. Today, by the way, Cyber Monday. So I don't know if a lot of people are going to be able to be getting anything done. I always hear the businesses say, yep, Monday's not very productive on Cyber Monday. We'll see. Once again, we told you it's Monday. So if you remember, we have started this months ago. It is Ask the Doctor, Medical Monday, and Dr. Charles Willey's back with us. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. 3 out of 4 kids were in, so that's what it's all about.
You all hosted?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you eat too much?
Boy, not as much as I used to.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
You learned over the years.
I did. As a kid, I could eat 3 or 4, go back to the trough 3 or 4 times, but just once
Go
this
back
time.
to the trough. Yeah, and then you have those expandable pants because you never feel good.
But
Do
it
you
used
still
to be
have
active.
leftovers?
Used to burn it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, leftovers. The kids left yesterday, and so she threw the rest of the leftovers away, I'm afraid.
I had some last night, and I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
No more. No more.
Yeah.
You're still active, though. Somebody actually asked a couple of shows ago, what does the doctor do to stay in such great shape?
Well, I really am staying as close as I can to my caveman diet. And it's amazing how difficult it is to avoid carbohydrate, but and how little it takes to get you stuck again. But
beyond the eating, do you work out?
I don't work out formally, but there's 100 yards of forest around our whole neighborhood, and I've carved a 3-mile hiking trail.
Oh, very cool.
Sometimes following the deer, sometimes they follow me. I've built 4 or 5 bridges over little gullies,
Really?
and hiked the trail with walking sticks at a good pace. And
Walking sticks is important.
when I was training for our trip to Alaska this summer, I put on the backpack and started with 20 pounds, then 40, then 60,
Wow.
hiking the trail.
Look at you.
Yeah, and
That's
whenever I go to the
impressive.
hospitals, I'm on staff. We've talked about 11 hospitals. Almost never take an elevator
Right.
up and down the stairs.
And you probably park pretty far away.
Yeah, park far away, walk.
All these little things that you don't
Yeah.
think matter, they really, really do.
Burning
Instead of trying to
calories.
driving around, especially as people are Christmas shopping, they always try to find the spot right in front. I'm like, just walk if you can.
Yeah. So people will say, hey, how often can I have ice cream? Well, I said, well, once a month. Drive to it. Don't bring it in the house, because if you're looking at it, you're eating it. Drive to it, park a mile away, walk in, have a little bit, and then walk
A
back.
mile.
Right?
They're not doing that.
Yeah, then you can be calorie neutral. Burn the carbs you're going to eat today.
If you haven't
Yeah.
seen my guest, you have been missing out. He's got this great humor and just a wonderful, positive spirit. We've been talking about if you don't have a doctor that takes care of you, I want you to think about this. Innovare is there for you. Innovare Health Advocates, as you can see, it's the Ask the Doctor segment. InnovareHealth.com. Dr. Willey just said 11 hospitals that he's affiliated with, but 5 locations on both the Missouri side and Illinois side. So hopefully there's one that is near you, or can be. Or you'll definitely, as we said, want to travel because you want someone to take care of you. This is the website, by the way, that we're looking at. These are the people that could be taking care of you. Today, that is actually one of the topics we wanted to discuss. I love the fact that we just saw that woman with the dumbbells in her hand, taking care of herself. But we need to be more aware as kids and grandkids of signs that our parents are really showing the aging. What should we be looking for to help them?
Well, let's see. The condition that will draw families in to take care of mom and dad most gradually over time might be dementia. And that's 25 to 35% of seniors, people north of 65, will have dementia before they die. And so there's a subtlety. They can come on subtle, so they might be a little less engaging than they used to be. Judgment is an early sign. They're just not making good decisions like they were.
Like what?
Oh, sometimes it's they'll quit doing things like they'll be shopping differently. They'll buy stuff they don't need. They won't buy stuff they do need. They'll not keep the house as tidy as they would, especially in a, to young people, it's all automatic. If something's on the floor, you don't even notice it. You step over it, but there might be clutter might start to happen.
I've also seen in some of the interviews that we've done in the past, that's one that suddenly it's like, well, you would have picked up this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
But it's also they don't want to do the extra effort to maybe dress the way they used to. Right? I see
Right.
that grooming has changed, right?
It's just and less. Yeah, that's right. And less engaged socially. If you're sitting around one like the holiday, and mom used to be the life of the party, and that's a dramatic example, but she's just not telling the stories anymore. She's more passive. She's not connected.
They're more withdrawn.
Withdrawn and stop doing things they used to do. Get together with friends less often.
So how do we help them with that?
Well, notice it and see if you can draw them out, and if you can't, maybe there's something else going on. And an important thing about dementia is that there are a few treatable causes that ought to be looked for. Underactive B12, low thyroid; those are easy, cheap date, simple blood tests. But we've talked about it before. Poor sleep and depression is on the list. But I would encourage folks to start a conversation about it.
How do you broach that?
even
Because
bef-
sometimes they're like, well, I'm fine. Or I've actually seen when it is escalated that they become combative.
There's a defensive about it. There's a pride. But hopefully develop a relationship that gets inside of it. And I often use humor to break the ice, to get it going. And I have standing when people come to me, and that's the issue, and have family. I've learned to, use humor. Ask a tough question. Hey, Dad, here's one. How many, I know you, do you look forward to living in a nursing home one day? How many years would you like to live in a nursing home before you die? So there's a provocative question.
That's a hard one. Now, don't they normally say that they don't want to? I mean, if I asked my mom that question, she would say, I don't want to live in a nursing home.
Oh, many passionately. Some think, well, they forget that nursing home's no fun. They forget that nursing home's no fun. And wait a minute, what's the alternative? Yeah. So
Well, that's another hard one. If you're just tuning in, by the way, this is Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates. And if you have any questions for Dr. Willey, and by the way, if you ever want to join us, like we had a couple of guests last week asking questions, you can actually join us on the show and we'll be able to talk with you. Instead of just writing, you can actually ask us questions and be a part of the show. So you just got to let me know that in advance and we'll provide that link for you. Somebody just said once a month ice cream several times a week. So Michelle wants to know did you hunt down your turkey this year with the caveman diet? I don't think so.
No.
So again, we are talking about Ask the Doctor, signs of aging, and one of the things you mentioned earlier about dementia. So what are we looking for? Because, we all have little signs of, oh my gosh, I don't remember this. Oh, where was I? The whole thing of I was just walking from somewhere and then I stepped back. My mom always says, well, go back and do the walk again. Oh, there you go. And then you remember. But those are small little things. How is it that we're looking beyond that of, oh, these might be real signs of dementia or Alzheimer's?
Yeah, so it's a repetitive forgetfulness about, and it's short-term memory in the beginning. Mm-hmm. They'll have great long-term memory. They'll tell stories of days of old. And sometimes as the short-term memory is fading, they'll spend more time talking about the past. Mm-hmm. So repetitive short-term memory lapses. Forgetting appointments, forgetting to call you. You call, you're talking to your parent, and later in the day you call them again, mm-hmm. and you asked them to do something or just had a chat, and they don't remember that call.
Okay, well, this is interesting, and this show is called The Real Monica Adams for a second, and the interesting thing, I was listening to KMOX this morning, and they said that there's always a word of the year in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, and do you know what it was this year? Authentic. And that was because there's so much AI and so much fakeness out there, and authenticity, which I thought was interesting. I was like, well, good. We need more authenticity and real aspects. So let's be real here. I invited my mother over for Thanksgiving about 3 weeks ago. And I said, are you doing anything? And she's like, nope. I said, okay, so my brothers haven't asked yet? And she said, no. And I said, well, why don't you come join us? Okay, that sounds great. I said, okay, as we get closer, we'll talk about maybe picking you up on Wednesday and then going back on Friday. All of a sudden, she calls me a few days before Thanksgiving and tells me how she's going over to my brother's. And I thought, what? And so I'm talking to her, Dr. Willey, she doesn't even recollect at all. She doesn't remember this conversation. I said, you don't remember talking to me? I was going to have you over here. And I said, I'm actually glad because it's closer. I don't want her driving an hour, right? And so she came back and she's like, you must hate me. And I said, I would never hate you, Mom. No, I'm just glad you're doing something. But I asked, and you can't get frustrated with it, but it just kind of blew my mind. I said, you don't remember this conversation at all? And she's like, no, not really. And I'm like, interesting. And I've just been picking up on things. She also said she called me, and I said, well, don't you remember you were talking to me 30 minutes before that? Well, yeah. And I think you see this little glaze in their eyes. That's what's hard for us as kids to say, you've seen my mom. She's so spry and with it. And then all of a sudden she will be like on it and quick-witted and funny. And then this happens. Yeah,
and it can be on and off, and they can perform, and they can accommodate. So sometimes they'll fool you. They can distract.
Well, so what do we do when we see these things?
Just, at that phase of your, if let's assume that's memory trouble coming, just notice it more and more, and so start to think about, now, does she live alone? Is she in a one-level house? Does she have stairs? How well can she live alone as she becomes less, if she gradually becomes more forgetful, will she be able to live alone? How does she get food? Can she drive?
Right.
How far does she go? How dangerous is it to drive?
And those are all the things, though, Dr. Willey, that are hard. And I want all of you that are watching, I mean, you've probably been there with me, and chime in if you want to. Anything that you find of your parents or grandparents, she does drive. And she drives well, but then if you ask my husband, he'll say, this is what you guys have to be aware of. And I know as kids, you might be in denial because you look at her and she looks like she's in her 60s, even though she's 85. And he's like, I don't think she should be doing these long distances. You might agree with him on that. Do you agree with him?
Well, I don't know how capable she is. Is she ever get lost?
Yeah, that's happened. And actually, she was meeting me. We have a halfway point that we meet so that she doesn't have to drive all the way to the house. And I'm talking to her, and I thought I was going to be late. And I called her, and she's like, oh, yeah, I got stuck in this 10-minute backup. And she's like, I just got on 270. And I said, Why are you on 270? You're supposed to meet me off
There
of
you go.
40. So see, it's those things.
Yeah, so if it's a little neighborhood and and they're 6 blocks from the grocery, it's 2 right turns.
Yeah.
And they've done that for years. That's
Right.
long-term memory. So imprinted long-term memory happens in their familiar surrounding. Get them out of that, and something bad will happen.
And
Could happen.
even this location
So that's
where
a
we
clue.
meet, though, she's like, I do it all the time. What am I thinking? And then they get frustrated with themselves.
Yeah.
She was going off on herself, being mean to herself. And I was like,
Yeah.
no. Okay, so let's say that people are like me, that they're seeing these signs. But then what do? I mean, you don't want to start taking things away from them, but you want to keep them safe.
Yeah, I have a metaphor. I say, well, treat them like a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do with a 12-year-old? Well, you want them to learn and become independent, but you have rules and you keep a sharp eye so you can intervene quickly if you have to.
So boundaries?
Boundaries, in the beginning, just stay closer and notice, to prevent trouble. But as it gets worse, start thinking about, okay, what's dangerous, And my own father had Alzheimer's, and we saw it coming.
Right.
His oldest sister, he was the younger of 10 or 12. His oldest sister lived and died with Alzheimer's. We had a chat about it before he became so. But by the time he was driving, and he lived, it was a mile and a half and out of the subdivision up the road. I said, Dad, it's time to give up the keys. No, I got to have those keys, because he couldn't hike. It's too far to walk anywhere. But finally, he had enough wit left, but when he made a left turn into a young family on that road at 20 miles an hour, he gave him up. But there are bigger tragedies.
There absolutely are.
so
And we don't want it to get to that point.
Stay close, and notice the kitchen. Kitchen can be a dangerous place if the memory isn't correct.
We're going to talk more about that, because that's the thing
Leave
that
the
scares
stove
me.
on and go somewhere, and create a fire.
I want to go into that. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about that, because it's the leaving candles on. I mean, we got candles on here in the set. Leaving the candles on, leaving the house, leaving the stove on, those kind of things that happen. If you have any questions for Dr. Willey, ask the doctor. It doesn't necessarily have to be with what we're talking about today, but the topic again is parents aging, grandparents aging, how we can help them along, and to be aware, be focused, and caring for them. More with Dr. Willey when we return. Think about this. When's the last time you called your doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning and he actually answered? Well, at Innovare Health Advocates, their patients are special. Their doctors, nurse practitioners, their care team care deeply about your health, your family, your work, and even your pet. Their clinicians are accessible, and they lead your care in and out of the hospital. In fact, Dr. Charles Willey offers his cell phone number to his patients to ensure they can intervene early in your illness. They can provide care above and beyond, offering lab, x-ray, echocardiogram, and other treatments in their office. Innovare Health Advocates, with 5 locations on both sides of the river. Check them out, innovarehealth.com. Welcome back, 752. Having a great conversation with Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates, truly caring about your health, your parents, your grandparents. Today, as Dr. Willey mentioned last week, we wanted to talk about the signs we need to be looking for. Even at the break, he was asking me, so how far does Mom live from you? And I said an hour, but she's about 10 minutes from my brother and sister-in-law. And he asked this question, which is interesting to even think, because you go along and you look at your parents and like, oh, Mom doesn't need that yet. But then you start in the back of your head and thinking, maybe. So Dr. Willey just asked, who would be the closest for her to move into, move in with, and that would be them, about 10 minutes away. I have an amazing sister-in-law that has said to me probably 20 years ago, just rest assured, when it comes that time, I will be there, and that'll be my life, is that she wants to take care of
So the preparation is planned for it.
Yes.
Make her welcome. Have her stay some nights. If the adult children have a house and the kids are gone and there's a bedroom, start projecting about how that would be and how talk about the positives. There's no place like home, and
Right.
there's nothing like family.
And so for them to feel comfortable and not in the way.
Yes,
Yep.
and inviting. It's almost, hey, come over for dinner instead of driving her back home. Why don't you stay the night, Mom? We'll take you home in the morning. That
Right.
kind of thing to get it going. Here's a judgment issue. At carrying laundry down the basement stairs to the laundry, falling and breaking a hip or a spine. I've had deaths, paralysis, and fractures are game changing. And so I say, Are there 2 banisters down the stairs? No. Can you put another one in? Well, maybe. So have 2 banisters, and put the laundry in a backpack. And so you're walking
you're
up the
balanced.
steps, and you've always got 3 points on the stairs. You're only moving one hand with the other. So things like that, or bring the laundry upstairs.
Yep. I'm glad you brought up the aspect of stairs, because I've said that before. If your mom or your dad, and if it's just one because you've lost the other parent, if they're living alone, I think the stairs are the most dangerous thing. But you also talked about the kitchen, right? So they're leaving stoves on and how dangerous that can be. What other things are you seeing? Actually, I've seen she would go onto a step stool that wasn't the most sturdy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to be aware, right? It's almost like with a kid, and you kid-proof the home. We have to mom and dad proof the home.
So my dad's story is, my mother was a real discounter, and she came home with one of the first extension ladders, aluminum extension ladders.
Yes.
They were wood prior to then, and it was really a rinky-dink thing, and it might have been assembled backwards. She got a deal. My dad unassembled it, but I painted the eaves on the 2-story backside of the house. It was a ranch walkout for years, and I come home. I think it was early medical school. And my dad's up on this ladder painting the eaves, and this is a rickety thing, and so I took the ladder. There were 2 big trees out back, and I levered it between the trees, and it was so flimsy I could bend the ladder, so he could never do that again.
Yeah,
So
we got to take it away.
Yeah, these step stools, little things, misses. They're up 2 steps, they think they're done, and they miss it and fall and break the hips. So just take that junk out of there. Now there are step stools that are wider, taller, better balanced, something to hold on to. Buy them that for Christmas, and just take just be in command and take this unsafe junk out of the place.
Yeah, where'd that go? I don't know. You must have misplaced it. It's in the trash.
Right.
So yes, we did say this last time. So Marilyn said, Doc, we were going to talk about soy in our diet. Did you look into that for me?
I forgot.
Okay.
But the question was, can you eat too much soy?
For women, from an estrogen
from an
standpoint.
estrogen point of view.
Yes. Do you want to look into that for next
I'll
week
do
for
it
us?
again. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Marilyn. Marilyn, I promise you, I'll remind him. Kathy said, we noticed that our grandmother was forgetting she had food cooking on the stove. She went to assisted living and enjoyed it more than she and we thought she would. Yeah, sometimes I think they might be against it and then realize, well, I think because what they maybe feel when they are in assisted living or in a nursing home, that they no longer feel like they are putting their kids out.
Yeah, they don't want to be a burden.
Yes.
And so work on that over time. Make sure they know they're welcome and it's about family. But some people, some folks, they're living alone. They're independent. That's good, but they're lonely.
Yeah.
And they thrive when they get to a community setting like an assisted living or a senior campus.
Well, because you don't want them. I will say, here's the good thing. If they suddenly become less active, they're just at home, they're going to go into the depression we've been talking about a lot on this show. I will say this. My mom is involved in garden club. She's in the historical society. She's in a pontooners club. She now does this Widows by the Water. And then she just got into a Bible study. So that's keeping her active. And I think sometimes we might need to just kind of say, hey, you used to love this. Do you want to be involved in this community?
Yeah, all that stuff's great and will keep is life-giving to her.
Right.
Community, friends.
Yes.
But, as we, if you have the great fortune to be 95 and still have your wit, most of your friends will have died.
Yes.
Right? So you have to make new friends as time goes on. Those are great ways to do it.
Absolutely.
Stay engaged, socially engaged.
Absolutely.
Keeps the mind sharp.
Yep.
But if you see them withdrawing from those things, that could be a clue.
Sure.
Right?
So let's see. Beautiful thing when family works together. Yes, the whole community aspect. Marilyn said, no worries. Okay, we'll get that for you next week. Michelle had said this before. We had to file down my grandfather's keys so he couldn't drive off. Sad to see him sitting in the car wondering why it wouldn't start, but it kept him safe.
Very good.
Exactly.
Treat him like a 12-year-old.
Stephanie says, my mom had dementia. She lived with my sister. One time she made meatloaf, put it in the oven, and forgot to turn the timer on. Oven started smoking, the smoke alarm went off, and the dog was barking to alarm my mom. Thank goodness she called the fire department. The neighbor came over, turned the oven off, burnt oven and meatloaf. That was her last day of cooking. That's the dangerous thing. I mean,
Yeah.
we hear about fires started because they're forgetting that.
Yeah, close call there, because it could have been much worse.
Well, here you go. We're talking about what can the kids do. We need to make sure that their smoke detectors are working.
There you go.
Batteries.
Yep.
Simple things like that.
Yep. And tactics to keep people in their home longer, and their own home is great. As I mentioned before, they're imprinting long-term memory. They can go from the bed to the bathroom to the kitchen. Even they can't see very well, but those are habits, long-term habits. So we want to preserve them. So cameras. If you're
good
concerned, you can, we have cameras these days. Cameras, and you can talk to people on those.
I was just going to say that.
Those gadgets
yes.
on the,
Like
the spy gadget on the, what do you call that? Alexa.
Alexa?
Yeah.
Now watch. And now we just said it, and it's all going to go off at everybody's house now.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. I'm so glad you just said that, because my brother had it hooked up to where you can say, Alexa, call. And if somebody falls in their home, they're all alone, you want something like that. We talked about that years ago when I was in TV. Assignment editor that I worked with, he's like, I have it set up to where his mom, she can call us, because we're so worried that she's all by herself. If they fall, that they can say that, and it can call to the child that your kid's at home.
I think you can program it to set reminders for her.
Yep.
And then video is good.
Well, and that you would hope that they have the wherewithal to say, oh, I'm getting ready to cook this thing. Alexa, set a timer for 45 minutes, whatever. But they have to remember to set the timer. That's the other thing. We talked earlier about clutter, not being as tidy, maybe the grooming aspect. Hygiene is a big aspect that I've seen. That if you start to see those signs, right?
Yeah. Now, there'll be some casualness about it, and I think many retirees don't shower every day anymore. But yeah, if it's going on for 4 or 5 days, and it's especially when they're presenting themselves to others, somebody's coming over, they're going out, the judgment to say, okay, it's time to take a shower and freshen up the clothes. That's a clue. That is a good clue.
So these are things that we want you to be aware of. Once again, we're trying to take care of those that took care of us when we were kids, right? It's our turn to step up and make those decisions and have the communication. Sometimes you have to have a family meeting, right? Like, hey, Dad, Mom, we need to sit down and talk about this.
Yeah, I'm going to have a family meeting this week.
Yeah?
There's a couple. See, he's 90, she's 88. He fell and broke his hip. He had a bowel obstruction. He's got Parkinson's. Fortunate enough to be able to afford 24-hour live-in help. Okay. But now, but she became, traditional relationship, but she really womaned up and started taking care of stuff. But now her memory is failing. Her mother had Alzheimer's. So I'm going to have a family meeting, talk to the kids about, and the gentleman has said, Chuck, this is my nursing home. Okay, because he's got that help. But still, I'm going to assign one of the adult sons to be the boss of the help, of the ladies who help him. Well, so they have somebody to report to. We set a schedule. We got a whole plan, and they keep to it because they forget.
Yes.
And the poor lady, she's been having panic attacks about something I taught her many times, and calling 911. And she's been to the hospital 6 times. Finally, the hospital's getting the hang of it. This is a friend in another town.
Well, it's good. Not everybody can afford or have the ability to have 24-hour care. So we realize that. I mean, there's a lot of things that you're going to hear on today's show where you're like, I can't do this. So we have to find our means and what can we do.
Which is why for most people, there's no place like home and there's nothing like family. So think about it, prepare for it, bring your folks in, and understand that a year in the best nursing homes costs $140,000 a year.
Oh my gosh!
And in the worst, $75,000. And you won't want your dog to stay in the worst.
Right.
Some people have to because that's all they got. There's nobody. But plan for it. It's better if you could keep them with you. So
See, Michelle just said, what a great Christmas project for teen grandkids, charging the batteries and smoke detectors. Yes, have the grandkids get involved as well. She said with my grandma, we cleaned out the top shelves of her cabinets and closets so she wasn't apt to get on stools to reach for something, reorganized so everything was reachable. You did bring up a good point before we wrap up, that when you have that family meeting, if you haven't done it already, we've actually done this, I don't know how many years ago, we made sure that there's 3 of us kids, that we each have a role. What is that role? My brother handles the whole financial aspect for mom. I'm the medical one. I don't know what my brother's doing. He needs to step up. my other brother I don't know what his role is, but I know that we have 2 of the biggest. Like when it comes time to make medical decisions, that's me. That's on me. So if you haven't done that, maybe you sit down and say, okay, and it also allows for the entire family to feel like they're playing a role, they're having a part in it, not everything is being put on one person. That's where resentment and all that comes from.
Yeah, that financial planning part of it is really important as well, because and I get to people in the crisis too often. I say, well, how many years of $140,000 can they afford? And they're kind of a little uneasy about me prying, but no, I don't I just need to know, and they need to understand how much that costs.
Right.
And can they afford it? I mean, I have folks in their 90s in a nice facility. They ran out of money. They filed for bankruptcy. Sure. This was an attorney. He had a wonderful career, but he didn't expect to live 30 years in a facility.
That's financial. Well, that's actually a topic I want to discuss. We've got an incredible guy. He's young. His name's Alex Kane with Renaissance Financial. If you do not have someone taking care of your money, your parents, your grandparents, you can reach out to me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. I can pass you his information, but it has to be done. And the earlier you do it and start preparing and try to figure out, you want to try to live and say, I'm going to live to 90. Right? If you're running out of money, then what's going to happen? Especially when all your friends are gone, your family might be gone, the kids maybe are out doing whatever they're doing. Yeah, the financial aspect, that's actually a huge topic that we need to sit down on. My concern, Terry says, is trying to pick up the signs. Denial or defensive with the excuse of this happens with age. Seems to be fine in small groups, but in larger groups, a withdrawal, engaging in conversation. Blank stare. Cell phones can be a prop. Hard to identify sometimes and see them as they pause. If you've been tested for Alzheimer's and found nothing, is it possible to have dementia? I thought they were both the same.
Dementia is the general category. Alzheimer's is the most common. Others are small vessel disease. The capillaries are clogging up. But we unfortunately don't have much treatment. A lot of it's prevention and then accommodating how to get along with it when it happens. Yeah. Yeah, but we can sort it out, and there are treatable causes, and most common, as I've said, is depression, poor sleep. So
yes.
So come see me. We'll figure it out.
There we go. Innovare Health Advocates. Again, InnovareHealth.com. You saw a picture earlier of someone helping to put a hearing aid in their maybe parents or grandparents. That's a whole other discussion that we could talk about, of asking them to get their hearing checked and to be willing to do that. A lot of times it's a vanity thing. They don't want to have it on. I'd like to talk to that in the future, because it took us a while to get my mom to finally do it. And now I'm like, isn't it better? Don't you want to be a part of the conversation and not feel like you're sitting back and you're not a part of it? So maybe that's a topic. If you have a topic that you would like for us to discuss, shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. And as I said at the beginning, you can join in on the conversation. Instead of just typing to us, you can actually be a part of the show with us. Just let us know in advance, and he and I both have our earpieces ready to go. We got him one.
And Monica, this is bone conduction, and there's a gadget you could have on the counter with mom, that you speak into, and she hears it through that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bone conduction, and hearing aids. Boy, God love hearing aids, but many won't wear them because
that's the topic I want to do.
They're amplifying too much of the wrong noise still.
Can we do that next week?
Boy, I've not worn them. I could.
Well, can we talk about the clients, the patients that you see that are completely against them, and maybe guiding them to, because some people are like, I don't want to spend the money. Do they really work? And they'll just go and buy some cheap ones, and then they're like, it doesn't work, or it's constantly going out. I mean, we can touch on it a little bit. I'd like for all of you to tell me how you got your parents and grandparents to start wearing them, and maybe guiding them of even being able to get a good one.
It's an important issue because sometimes they're not forgetting they didn't they didn't
can't
hear it
her.
in the first time, in
Right.
the first place,
And that's what
they're
gets-
embarrassed to say. Yeah.
They're embarrassed, and then they get on the phone with you, and you're like, do you have your hearing aids in? Because you're not hearing me. And you have to stay patient on the other side of that phone.
Yeah.
I think it's a good topic. We got to go into that a little bit more. We're going to take a break, and you saw that Lisa had picked this one, 100 Days to Freedom from Depression. It made sense today, and actually, even with aging, they get depressed because they're not as spry as they used to be. So we'll talk about Stephen Arterburn's daily devotional, Depression, when we return. Invita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Invita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Invita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Invita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online invitahealthandwellness.com. Welcome back. It is 8:10 and we're wrapping the show up. We're talking about 100 Days to Freedom, and this one's from Depression. The day is coming. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in his word I do hope. My soul waits for the Lord more than those who watch for the morning. That's Psalm 130. Verses 5 through 6. Life's full of anticipation, time spent waiting for something to arrive or happen. Our minds play the upcoming event on repeat. We look forward to that day, preparing and waiting, wondering what it's going to be like. And boom, then it happens. The day arrives and we feel a sense of relief and excitement. Our stomach flutters a bit, our hearts race a little faster, our eyes widen, a smile appears, and every trouble or concern seems to fade in comparison to the arrival of the moment we've been waiting for. So do you remember the last time you felt that way? Well, another day like that is coming. During times of trial, it might be hard to know it's true. So much might be clouding our vision that it's difficult to see anything. And for some of us, we've been waiting expectantly for a very long time. Maybe we've been waiting for a reprieve or a cure or simply a change for the better that never seems to come. Instead, we're living with a body or mind that in our belief has failed us. All our tears, our prayers, our interventions have yielded no relief. We're done, but God's not. God never promised a life without pain or discomfort. However, his word does declare that at his designated time, all agony, all worries, all hurt will be no more. He will gather us into his arms and then wipe away your tears. The trial will be over, and that is worth waiting for. N.T. Wright said, true worship is open to God, adoring God, waiting for God, trusting God even in the dark. Charles Spurgeon said, if the Lord Jehovah makes us wait, let us do so with our whole hearts, for blessed are all that wait for him. He's worth waiting for. The waiting itself is beneficial to us. It tries faith, it exercises patience, it trains submission, and endears the blessing when it comes. The Lord's people have always been a waiting people. And G. Campbell Morgan said, waiting for God means power to do nothing save under command. This is not lack of power to do anything. Waiting for God needs strength rather than weakness. It's power to do nothing. It is the strength that holds the strength in check. It's the strength that prevents the blundering activity, which is entirely false and will make true activity impossible when the definitive command comes. What's today's prayer? Well, Lord, I know you have a timing for everything. While I wait to be healed, please help me to expect to see you in every day of my life until I see you face to face. Amen to that. If you're new to the show, that's how we wrap up every one of our shows. We do a devotional for you to give you some hope. You know, we were talking earlier about depression, suicide, a very dark subject, but how Liam Michael today is helping to save lives with his foundation. Today, how Dr. Willey and I have been talking about helping to see our aging parents, our grandparents, and how we can step in. There's a line for you, by the way, for the suicide prevention hotline. If you're struggling, please reach out, call or text 988. And for us, as parents and grandparents and kids and the young children, sometimes even the kids probably are the ones that say, hey, grandma's acting a little different. Right, so be aware of that. Don't dismiss that. Dr. Charles Willey, thank you for coming in again. If you have a topic that you would like for him to address in coming Mondays, just let us know, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. I'll pass that along to him. Marilyn, I promise you, we will discuss the soy issue next week. Put that in there. Put that in your
I'm going to
notes.
put that in my calendar
Don't
right
forget
now.
that.
That's
Okay,
right.
we'll discuss that. We'll talk about addressing the hearing aids, and we've even talked about wanting to discuss COPD, so maybe we'll have those coming up as well. I know that was a future topic.
Yeah.
Any topics that you want, and if you're looking for a doctor to take care of you, again, reach out to our friends at Innovare Health Advocates. To all of you, thank you once again for being a part of the show, for tuning in. Be sure to share these shows so we can help to spread the word all around the world. Thank you so much. Go out and attack this world, but before you do anything, remember, be kind. God bless you all.